What is going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. My name is Mileage Mike, civil engineer and very frequent traveler. And on today, September 23rd, I've got several stories lined up for you guys because there's always something interesting going on around these United States of America. So we're not going to waste too much time today. We're going to get straight into the news, and this first one is from a place I just recently spent quite a bit of time. Let's go to it. And that is none other than California. California, the most populous state in the Union. And it might be the most beautiful state in the Union. At least a lot of people think so. But California has its issues, and let's take a look at what's going on in Los Angeles.
Been plagued with problems since it opened. LA's 6th Street Bridge is currently covered in graffiti, and thieves are stealing copper wiring. That means many of the lights here aren't working. And LAPD officers now drawing attention to the ongoing problems on this broken down bridge. NBC4's Alex Rozier took a trip there today to see what it looks like.
When the 6th Street Bridge opened in 2022, it quickly became one of the city's biggest attractions. Now, a little more than 3 years later, some say it's a bit of a mess. In a post on X, LAPD's Lillian Carranza with the Central Bureau said in part, quote, "Our 6th Street Bridge in Los Angeles no longer lights up at night, and it is covered with graffiti. Thieves repeatedly steal the copper wiring and have left the bridge in the dark. Patrol has been increased and graffiti removal requested." Charles lives in the Arts District and walks the...
All right, guys, let me go to the map and show you where this bridge is. Oh, I'm already here. So here you see Los Angeles, downtown. So it is right here over the LA River, downtown Los Angeles. And you see it's a lot of train tracks in this area. Yep, so here it is. It's elevated over this industrial area right here and crosses the LA River, headed into downtown.
Often.
It just used to be a beautiful, clean bridge, but now you look at it, so much graffiti everywhere.
If you walk up and down the bridge today, you'll see some of the sidewalks and the bridge's barriers are covered in graffiti. And so are the bases of almost every arch on this bridge, too. In a bit of good news, LA Council member Isabel Jurado's office said today they've now hired the Los Angeles Conservation Corps to help clean up the bridge. This morning, crews removed graffiti on 6 of the arches. But as the officer noted, graffiti is just part of the problems on this $588 million bridge. If you take a walk with me on this bridge, you'll see that a lot of these high voltage boxes have had their tops removed, and people have been stealing copper wire. That's why the lights are out.
The bridge used to be lit up, and now the lights are gone. So it'd be a real joy to have the lights come back on the bridge one day.
I think it's bad.
Wow. So, as we can see here in California, the local folks of Los Angeles don't seem to respect the local infrastructure. And after spending quite a bit of time out west, well, on the West Coast here recently, I will say that these West Coast cities do have issues with vandalism and graffiti that you just don't see in other parts of the country. Well, at least not in the Southeast. So one thing I will say about the South is that you just don't get this type of disrespect for the infrastructure. I mean, Seattle, Portland, the Bay Area, and of course now we see right here, Los Angeles, graffiti everywhere. Now graffiti is one thing, but they are stealing the copper out of the lighting. What in the world is going on in Los Angeles? I mean, we're stealing copper from bridge lighting. My. Let's continue.
Everywhere in Los Angeles.
Amy said the issue of copper wire theft extends beyond the bridge, and she said it needs to be addressed elsewhere first.
I think, yeah, bad on the bridge, but I would rather have the copper wire stuff be dealt with in residential neighborhoods where people are walking and where there's more of a threat.
In Officer Carranza.
Wait, so my California folks, is this what's going on in LA? They're stealing copper out of residential streetlights and bridges? Are times that hard out here? Like, what is going on? God, this is wild.
Posed, she said fixing the issues plaguing the
Didn't
bridge
Newsom
will
and,
require a
Karen
multi-layer.
Bass say that there wasn't any issues with crime enforcement in Los Angeles recently? Weren't they in the news for that?
Community-focused approach.
I know people really enjoyed it when it was all lit up, so I just hope that something is done at some point.
I'm Alex Rozier, NBC4 News.
We reached out to Mayor Bass for reaction on what's happened here, and this is the statement we received from her office this afternoon. The LAPD has a dedicated heavy metal task force that will continue to hold people accountable and made more than 100 arrests and recovered thousands of pounds of copper wire in 2024. Mayor Bass has worked to better...
Okay, yeah. So, looks like in LA we don't respect anything anymore. We are vandalizing $500 million bridges and stealing the copper from the bridge and the street lights. LA, California, you just see stuff like this. But it's a great place to visit, definitely. All right, now with that being said, let's talk about a bridge that is not being vandalized in one of the most beautiful southern states. A place where, one thing I will say about North Carolina, you don't see much graffiti or theft or damage to local infrastructure like you'll see in some of these West Coast cities. So let's take a look at North Carolina and this new bridge that is being built south of Asheville.
$1 bridge on the Blue Ridge Parkway over Interstate 26 in Buncombe County is just days away now from opening.
Yeah, engineers say this new bridge was needed to allow the widening of the interstate to continue. Ray Urena got a sneak peek as engineers put on the finishing touches.
I'm standing on the new Blue Ridge Parkway Bridge over Interstate 26 in western North Carolina. Engineers say that they could have one lane of traffic open as soon as Friday morning. But once this bridge fully opens, engineers say they will start working on demolishing the old bridge.
This is a very exciting milestone for us.
A new bridge spanning 2 football fields now towers about 90 feet above the hustle and bustle of Interstate 26.
All right, guys, so this bridge that they are talking about here is just south of Asheville. So if you've been in the Asheville area or driven on Interstate 26, you've probably seen the old bridge. It's that super high bridge that goes over the interstate. And since North Carolina has been widening Interstate 26, well, that required a new Blue Ridge Parkway Bridge, which you can see here on Google was under construction the last time they took some imagery. So there's the old bridge. Yeah, there you go. It doesn't look as high from here, but when you're on the highway, like, it is way up there. And there's no interchange here, so it's just a bridge over Interstate 26.
End of next week, the goal is to have traffic in both lanes on this new bridge.
Engineers say the $14.5 million bridge is about 5 years in the making.
Without us putting traffic on the new bridge, we can't tear down the old bridge. Without tearing down the old bridge, with that being there, we can't construct I-26 down below.
The old bridge's supports are in the middle of the interstate and are in the way of widening the road.
We are like the small section left between exit 33 and 37. That's about the only section that's not 4 lanes currently.
Engineers say the new bridge is made of high-strength concrete, should last longer, and be easier to maintain.
All the pieces were constructed in Wilmington and delivered here, and then it was post-tensioned out here on the job. There's 76 pieces out here.
Engineers say it will likely take 4 to 6 weeks to demolish the old bridge.
And they're going to cut it up into pieces and pick up the pieces one piece at a time, starting with the deck.
As the widening of I-26 moves into its next stage.
Give us another 6 months to a year, all of the 8 lanes will be open and it will be much more free-flowing. I look forward to it. I'm sure everybody else does.
Engineers say there will likely be nighttime closures of Interstate 26 while the old bridge is being taken down. Reporting in Buncombe County, Ray Urena, WYFF News 4.
All right, guys, there it is. Shout out to North Carolina getting it done. California, take note. Interstate 26 is being modernized into a very wide 8-lane expressway. And the Blue Ridge Parkway is getting a fancy new bridge over Interstate 26. I got a feeling that this one won't be getting vandalized. All right. Now, we got this story out here in Colorado. So in Colorado, or at least in several cities around the country, one of the issues when it comes to trying to make our cities more dense or build more housing is rezoning a lot of single family zoning that is prevalent all over American cities. So Lakewood, for you guys who aren't aware, is a pretty large suburb right outside of Denver. Let's go head over on our map to Colorado. Okay, so here is Denver. Here's Lakewood, right here to the west. So this is the town we're going to be talking about here. And Lakewood is pretty sizable, 155,000 people. So Lakewood is a very large suburb. Let's take a look at the story.
Leaders in Lakewood are getting pushback over new proposed zoning rules that would encourage more multifamily homes to be built than single-family homes all around the city.
Today, the city telling us their goal is to create more affordable housing in Lakewood. Our Anna Kuhn is joining us live in studio tonight. And Anna, some residents say these changes are just too much.
Yeah, I spoke with one resident today who's concerned about how these changes could change the character of the city and in turn her neighborhood as more housing brings more people.
This will completely change the character of our neighborhoods. It will get rid of protections for single family homes. So somebody who has spent their life savings to buy a property and wants to live in a single family neighborhood, they do not have that safety net anymore.
Lakewood's efforts to rewrite its zoning ordinance comes on the heels of new state laws, which limit parking requirements and end rules on how many people can live in one home. But city leaders say the proposed changes are also about tackling goals like housing affordability, and that includes encouraging more multifamily homes like duplexes or condos.
I don't think it will cause, but it will create the enabling conditions to allow affordability in our community and allow people who work here and live here and build this community stay in this community.
Some residents agree more housing options are needed, but some don't, and they formed the group Lakewood is for Everyone to push back and ask the council to reject the changes. Their ask is echoed by a letter from the local water district warning that the city's infrastructure won't be able to keep up with major growth.
They shouldn't be able to go forward with that knowing they don't have the infrastructure to support that.
The city.
All right, this is a very contentious issue all over the country pretty much. So I'd love to know what you guys think about this. Should people in these cities who already got their single family homes, who already, however long ago that was, whether that was 50 years, 70 years ago, whatever, passed down to them, all these single family home neighborhoods, should the cities allow for rezoning and for those neighborhoods to be potentially bought up and redeveloped into more dense housing? Or do you think that they should leave them alone now that they've bought and invested in the neighborhood, like the woman here was saying? Should city leaders not be able to come in here and change things? So this is the very definition of the whole NIMBY, not in my backyard. You know, here in America, we have a philosophy of, I got mine, so you better figure out how to get yours. I got my single family home, so you better figure it out over there somewhere. But I don't know, you guys let me know what you think in the comments about this one. This is very polarizing, because you got a lot of people on one side that say we need to get rid of the parking minimums. We need to rezone these single family residential neighborhoods for medium and even high density residential in some cases. And this is interesting also because it's a suburb, because there are some core cities. When I was in Charlotte, I think there was a thing, I'm not sure if they did it or not, but I know Charlotte was trying to rezone a lot of their core neighborhoods to allow for more dense development. And the thought process is that if we do this, then it's going to densify the city, which it could do that. One of the downsides of it, though, that is not often talked about is these people who do have these homes and they're trying to hold on to them. Will they leave the city? Or, you know, what will happen with that? So So the interesting factor about this is the whole core city versus suburb dynamic. So for example, let's say this is Lakewood, Colorado. Let's say Denver rezoned a lot of this single family residential housing for more dense development. What's to stop these suburbs from saying, hey, well, Denver won't let you get a single family home. You can come on out here. Because then at that point, you're still getting single family homes in the metro area. You're still putting cars on the road. So traffic doesn't really change as far as this density. But it's an interesting subject. Could be a whole separate video on this. This is a really interesting subject that demands a lot of research and deep diving. But that is what's going on in Lakewood. Let's see what else.
Has been voting on pieces of these zoning changes for several weeks, and they aren't expected to have it all done until mid-October. But right now, the group Lakewood is for Everyone is gathering signatures to try to overrule this zoning change at the ballot box. Live in.
All right. So residents of Lakewood are saying not in my backyard. And the city government is saying yes in your backyard. We'll see how this plays out. All right, and we got some good news down in Texas, in Dallas. And for those who don't know, Dallas, Texas, surprisingly, has the largest light rail network in the United States. And DART, who is the transit agency in Dallas, in the Dallas area, is about to open up the new Silver Line. Let's take a look.
CEO announced the long-awaited Silver Line will open on October 25th.
Wow, she sounds very excited, doesn't she?
6-mile rail line will connect 7 cities from Plano to DFW Airport. But the move comes as the agency makes service cuts in other locations. Fox 4's Lori Brown live in Dallas with the story. Lori.
As DART makes cuts to service, the CEO says that the region actually needs to be doing the exact opposite to make room for the millions of people that will soon be calling North Texas home, making the area the 3rd largest metro area in the country.
Opening date, I'm getting choked up here, will be on Saturday, October 25th.
DART President and CEO Nadine Lee said DART will be free for the day and the Silver Line will be free for the first 2 weeks of service.
We want the whole region to ride together, to celebrate together.
DART's expansion comes amid a large budget dollar reduction.
So as you know, this has been a really tough budget year. In our proposed $1.8 billion fiscal year 2026 budget, we had to make some really hard choices. As we considered the budget impacts of inflation, rising fuel costs, increasing contract costs, and new services like the Silver Line, we knew we needed to hear from our riders on their priorities. And boy, did we hear from them.
After 200 people spoke out at a hearing in July, DART reduced its budget cuts from $60 million to $25 million. Lee said the agency needs to be adding, not cutting service, as North Texas is poised to become the 3rd largest metro region in the United States within a decade.
Many of our new neighbors.
Ooh, Chicago. My Chicago folks, did you hear that? Did you hear that? They are saying that Dallas-Fort Worth is going to take you out in less than a decade. They're coming for that number 3 spot. All right, let's take a look here at this Silver Line. Let's see if they got a map here so we can see. Here we go. Here we go. Can we zoom in? Yes. Okay. This is pretty cool right here. So we got, what is that? We're running from downtown Plano. Or no, it's not downtown Plano. That's the Richardson Plano area over there. Okay, so we're connecting Plano, Richardson, UT Dallas. Okay, you get the college students. College students definitely love to use mass transit. Let's see if we can zoom in. Okay, there we go. There we go. So this is quite impressive here. Running through Addison, downtown Carrollton, and out to DFW. Ooh. So those in the North Texas suburbs, you can now get, well, once this is open, you can get to the airport using transit. How about that? And that's the existing line right there, the orange line. Okay. So Dallas is widening its lead as America's largest light rail network. So here we go. DFW to Plano. And through a bunch of other suburbs along the way. Very nice. Very nice. Looks like I might have to take a trip down to Texas in the coming months.
From transit-rich areas of the United States.
There's also future planning for new sports venues and DART's role in providing game day service to thousands of fans. Dallas Stars president and CEO Brad Alberts addressed that.
Probably all know about the arena situation with us and the Mavs and the involvement there. I think it's a complicated and complex situation, but where we ultimately play, whether that's at the AACs or somewhere else, I think mass transit is going to be at the forefront of that decision.
Albert says the biggest challenge for DART, creating a new culture.
People need to know that this is a safe and effective and affordable and efficient way to get to these events. You don't have to jump in your car. And, you know, we again talked about we're not an East Coast city. We don't have a culture of using a subway or a train. So we have to train this to become trendy.
Lee says DART needs to be looking at bus service that comes every 10 minutes instead of every 30 minutes to truly make public transit a convenient alternative to driving.
Yeah, 30 minutes headway on the bus line is unacceptable. You want to at least get it down to 15 minutes. But yeah, good news in Dallas. And yeah, if you are going to become the third largest metro in the United States, you do need a decent transit system. Now, all you got to do to make people want to use it, make it safe, make it convenient, and make it run on time reliably. And you'll get some people on there. And I know those college students definitely will use this. So Dallas is expanding their transit. Good job out there. Now, we're going down to Florida, where they have a new highway that recently opened in the Jacksonville area. So let's swing on to good old Actionville on the map. Jacksonville, Florida. Let's take a look at the road map. Okay. So here's Jacksonville. Let's see what the traffic looks like right now. Ooh. Well, it is about 5 o'clock, so this is Jacksonville's 5 o'clock traffic right here. It's 5 o'clock over there. And let's get into the video.
A big day in Clay County. A new portion of the First Coast Expressway officially opened today. And you can take a look here. This map shows exactly the area that's open now. It's going to connect Blanding Boulevard to US 17. US 17 down here, just to give you some reference here. Our Terry Gilliam was out there today as the first drivers hit the new road. And ooh, they are fired up.
For those that are leaving their homes in Clay County to go wherever their destination is, they should know that a newly constructed segment of the First Coast Expressway opened Saturday from Blanding Boulevard to US 17.
Lately, it's been insane. We get a ton of people moving to the area. Super busy right now, and it's crazy.
Mike Schriebert drives around this area of Clay County often, and traffic from Blanding Boulevard to US 17 is one of his biggest frustrations.
It should be great. I'm hoping it'll alleviate some of the traffic off of Blanding.
The Florida Department of Transportation aims to alleviate some of the congestion with the First Coast Expressway. The newest portion of the road opened Saturday, months ahead of schedule. The new 18-mile stretch was supposed to be finished in the spring of 2026. Schriebert says the timing worked out for the best.
With school coming back in.
All right, so let me show you guys what this First Coast Expressway is. You can already see it right here, kind of. So in Jacksonville, they have Interstate 95. North-south, Interstate 10, they intersect near downtown. That's the end of that. Then you got 295, which is the full Beltway around Jacksonville. So if you look at the First Coast Expressway, which is Florida 23, this is a toll road. And this is the segment that was already existing right here. So it's kind of like an outer Beltway, but it doesn't go up north on the north side of Jacksonville because most of the growth in the Jacksonville area is coming down here into Clay County. And I think that's St. Johns County, down here to the southeast. So the First Coast Expressway is going to be a sort of outer loop, not a full loop, but this is the section that opened that they're talking about. And as you can see, they're already in the process of working on this part right here. So it's gonna end up going across the St. Johns River here. Looks like you might have to get a new bridge built. And it looks like it's going to connect with Florida 9B, which is a partial. I think this was supposed to be Interstate 795. Someone let me know in the comments if that's a different number, but I think this 9B was supposed to be Interstate 795. And it's up to interstate standards, but Florida has not signed it for whatever reason. I think that might be because they want to add it to this new First Coast Expressway when it comes across the river. So you come into this path right here. So Jacksonville's getting a little ahead of the curve. Go ahead and get that outer beltway built right now while this area is not yet developed, because this is where the growth is coming. To the west, the southwest, and somewhat to the south of Jacksonville. Looks like the northern side of Jacksonville isn't quite as popular for growth. So that is your First Coast Expressway.
Really busy, so I'm excited to see what the expressway does for the area.
Erlene Palmer also lives in Clay County and was happy to hear the road open sooner than planned.
Well, I had heard about it, but when you said it, it made me even more excited, so we can keep things moving around here.
The First Coast Expressway will eventually stretch from I-10 in Duval County to I-95 in St. Johns County, acting as a beltway around Jacksonville. It's expected to be completed by 2030.
Very happy.
Now, it's also important to add that this is a toll road, but FDOT says that tolls won't go into effect until September 15th. In Clay County, I'm Terry Gilliam, First Coast News, on your side.
All right, good job, Florida, getting it open early. Looks like the residents of Clay County out there in the Jacksonville area are pretty excited. The First Coast Expressway. So by 2030, we will have a full loop running back to I-95. All right, and for this last story of today, we're talking about a place that is known for not getting ahead of the curve. If some of you guys remember, a while back I did a video about the worst traffic in Texas. And it wasn't Houston. It wasn't Dallas-Fort Worth. Nope. Austin, Texas has the worst traffic in Texas. Austin, Texas, especially I-35, going north-south through that area is a major bottleneck. Because Austin used to think if you don't build it, they won't come. Well, guess what? They came anyway. And now Austin is scrambling to catch up, whereas a place like Jacksonville is getting ahead of the game. So let's take a look at what the residents in Austin have done to deal with traffic on their own, because it's so bad out there. They come up with an app to help drivers in Austin. Let's take a look at this.
It's nearly impossible to find a time of day Mopac's not filled with cars.
I don't know that anybody has said anything nice about Mopac.
That's Alan Farmer. He's an Austinite who's trying to make your commute a little smoother every day.
Actually, before we get into that, I wanna. So Austin's on Central Time, so it's around 4 o'clock right now in Austin. Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. Interstate 35, deep red. Mopac, red. And no one is surprised. Austin, Austin, Austin. All day, every day, you're gonna see this in Austin, Texas. So let's see what this gentleman here in Austin did to help his fellow drivers.
To watch like throughout the day, like kind of where it goes up and down.
Tuesday, he launched his free app, Evil Mopac, that tracks real-time data on the Mopac Expressway.
It basically breaks it down into whether you're headed northbound or southbound. And so it shows the time in the regular lane versus the toll lane, and then how much the toll lane currently costs. And then it does the math here, save a minute for 81 cents a minute.
The app came out of frustration when his job suddenly announced they'd be changing locations.
Several weeks into the job, they said, oh, by the way, we're going to be moving it for the domain. So my new commute that is now going to be twice as long, if not longer.
Turning his daily commute into 45 minutes and up.
What was your first thoughts when you heard that?
I didn't ask for enough pay to compensate for the toll lanes that I was now going to be taking.
A few months ago, he and his wife started thinking through ideas for an app.
Just got me thinking, like, surely there has to be a better way. The threshold.
Since then, he spent his late nights and weekends creating his first app ever. Oh, and if you recognize the name Evil Mopac, yep, it's that one. Farmer is partnering with the anonymous satirical social media account.
Evil Mopac.
And since its launch, it's already gaining positive feedback. One user wrote, "This is the literal greatest invention since actual sliced bread." And although Farmer has now switched to working from home,
this is just helping other people.
In Austin.
Shout out to him. Shout out to him. helping his fellow, what do you call them, Austinites, navigate the traffic out there, man. I'm telling you guys, I spent like 6 months in Texas back in 2023, and Austin was the worst. Austin was the worst. Like, it only has like 2 million something in the population for the metro area, but it has traffic to where it kind of reminds me of like a much larger metro area, when it's like you don't even want to go downtown because the traffic on 35 is, and Mopac is probably choking, and Mopac is told. So Evil Mopac, shout out to these guys for helping each other navigate those streets of Austin. Man, it gets busy out there. And all right, guys, that will do it for today. Another Transportation Tuesday in the books. Let me know what you guys think about these stories down below in the comments, or if there are any stories that you want me to talk about in the coming weeks on the show. And really, what do you think about this whole zoning and mandatory minimums as far as these cities go in America? And as always, thanks for watching. I will see you next week.